Have you ever thought about what you would do if you won the lottery? And I'm not thinking like $100, I'm thinking big money. Personally, whenever I buy a lottery ticket, I'm for some reason always convinced that I'm gonna win. So far, it's not happened, but I do fantasize about what I'd do if I had a shit ton of money, which then got me thinking about all the things that I wouldn't buy. So today I want to share with you 10 iconic design pieces that I personally wouldn't buy even if I was loaded. I'm going to start out with a design that you might have seen before. It's the Jang Sofa designed by Hans Hopfer for Roche Bobois. Hans Hopfer created the Jang lounge sofa in the 1970s, and it has become one of Roche Bobois' most recognized and iconic designs. It's a fully modular low seating system that allows freedom of form, and at the time it broke the design mold and encouraged a completely new way of organizing living spaces. If you've been around the channel, you might have seen my video on conversation pits, but around the time that the popularity of conversation pits started to decline, the popularity of these type of sofas started to rise. If you go on Pinterest and search playpen sofas, you'll see a lot of similar type of sofas popular from the 70s, which is kind of interesting because I feel like this is somewhat popular today as well. These modular sofas that allows a little bit of freedom in terms of rearranging and its ability to adapt to your space. So for instance, at the moment, IKEA have just relaunched their collection Nytillverkad, which is their attempt of rethinking popular designs. So in the 70s, they had this denim lounge chair, which they've now brought back, which is kind of cool. But that's not the design that we're talking about. Let's circle back to the Mahjong. Upon closer inspection, I realized that I do actually really like the original design from the 70s, the first edition designs. Now, the reason it's made my wouldn't buy list is possibly because it's now dressed up. It's dressed by some of the world's finest couturiers. I can't say that. Missoni, Jean-Paul Gaultier, Kenzo Takada. And I think maybe the Kenzo version is one of the more popular ones. It's very playful, lots of colors, but for me personally, it's just a little bit too maximalist for my personal style. Like, I am very neutral. Some would even put me in the category of a basic, may I say, bitch. Joking. But have you seen any video where I'm not wearing a fucking black turtleneck? So that's why the Mahjong sofa wouldn't be on my buy list. I think there's a lot of other designs that I would choose before this one. As I said, the first edition version would make the cut. The more dressed up ones that you could buy today are not at all my style, and therefore I would not buy it even if I was loaded. The second design that I wouldn't buy is the Camera Onda sofa by Mario Bellini. And this one has had a hot comeback the last couple of years. It's been so hot in social media that it's lost all its appeal, at least for me. I still think it's a really cool design. It comes in a lot of fantastic different colors. I think it adds a lot of character to a space. And if someone gifted it to me, it's not like I would say no. But for me, it's just like been watered down a little bit. And personally, I don't think it looks that comfortable in a, let's say, living room setting. I think it would look really good in a more of a commercial space perhaps, but to me this is just a design that has been a little bit too popular. Again, lots of different sofas that I would choose before this one. Okay, the next one is an interesting one, and it might come as a surprise. The Serpenta floor lamp from Martinelli Luce was designed by the founder of the brand, Elio Martinelli, and was introduced in 1965. So it's a pretty old design. The name Serpenta came from the Italian word for snake, which is mirrored in the shape of the curved structure of the lamp. And you can also rotate the, I'm reading from a Norwegian text. I'm trying to translate as I go. It's got like a rotating head or like top parts, which allows you to adjust the direction of the light. This one, I think, is a really, really cool design. Now, you might be a little bit surprised that I wouldn't want this because I do have a fairly similar lamp, the Pentella. Actually, the reason that I wouldn't ever buy this lamp is kind of childish, so I feel a little bit silly to say it online, but the lampshade, the way that it's constructed, like the shape was a little bit phallic, like, you know, the British word band. Apologies. But now that I've seen it, I can't unsee it. And so because of that, I wouldn't want to buy this lamp. Which leads me on to the next one, which is in kind of like the same category. It's the Pipistello table lamp, also from Martinelli Luce, designed by Gay Aulenti in 1965. Now, this is a very unique design. The lampshade is inspired by the wings of a bat. The word Pipistrello also means bat in Italian. But again, the shape of the lampshade is just... now that I've had the thought, and I'm sorry if I'm ruining it for you now, but I can't unsee it. Also, generally, it's just a little bit, I think the design of this table lamp is just a little bit aggressive. And then with the connotations that I'm having, it's just not a match. If you've never had that thought, I am so sorry for ruining it for you, but I can't help it. Now, that doesn't take away the fact that they are still really, really cool and iconic lamp designs. If you know me, I love lamps.
I love lamp.
So who knows, maybe down the line I've changed my mind. But as of this moment, they would not make the cut even if I was loaded. The next one is called the 635 Red and Blue by Gerrit Rietveld in 1918. So it's a long time ago. Freaking 107-year-old design. It was produced by Cassina, which brought it back in 1973 during the collection I Maestri, and it's very recognizable. I feel like this design is a typical nerdy chair. If you know, you know kind of design. And you might think to yourself, well, I don't know why. I will share. So I read an article written by Anthony Romeo, who had some really interesting points about the red and blue chair. He writes, and I quote, "A man who thought a great deal of what it means to sit was Gerrit Thomas Rietveld, born in Utrecht in 1888. Rietveld felt a chair should not be used to retire from the world or get away from thought. We must remember, he said, that sit is a verb too." Romeo goes on, "What do we feel as we sit in our favorite chair? Do we like it because it supports us or because it consoles us? Do we feel alert or sleepy? Rietveld's chairs represent something aesthetic realism taught me, that we don't get to true repose by putting the world aside." In his book Pipistello, Paul Overy writes, "One of the functions of Rietveld's chairs, with their hard seats and backs, is to focus our senses, to make us alert and aware. Rietveld was not interested in conventional ideas of comfort, the 19th century armchair that relaxes you so much that you spill your coffee or fall asleep over your book. He wished to keep the sitter physically and mentally toned up. I'm constantly concerned," Rietveld said, "with this extraordinary idea of the awakening of the consciousness. That is why he came to design the most influential chair of the 20th century." I'm not saying it's not cool, but at the same time, for me, it would be mostly sculptural, kind of just be a bit of a flex to own that one, I think. Also, my personal approach to collecting interior design from the perspective of someone making like average, having like an average salary. I'm not making any big bucks that I can go out and, you know, invest in a lot of expensive things just like that. I have to be a little bit selective. I mean, obviously in this scenario, I'm loaded, so I would probably have a big house, but still, I don't think this chair would make the cut for me. It's cool. I'm not saying it's not cool. I don't know. Okay. The next one is the CH24, also known as the wishbone chair, designed by Hans Wegner. It is his first and most acknowledged design for Carl Hansen and Son, and it has been in production without stop since the 1950s. Now, this chair has become so famous that I feel like anyone who likes interior design, everyone's seen it. It's probably the epitome of Scandinavian design, and it's been the inspiration for a ton of different interior designers and furniture makers since. I see why people love it and would want them. Don't get me wrong, I think it's an amazing chair. Like, it's a classic, it's an iconic piece, but at the same time, I feel like I personally would choose either a different design by him, or I would just, yeah, I just choose something else, really. Because it's one of those designs that don't surprise. It's a little bit almost like the norm of Scandinavian design, which to me is fine, but yeah, I'd probably choose something else. That being said, I do think that Hans Wegner he's one of my favorite furniture makers from the mid-century era. I think I'm gonna make a video about him because he's got a lot of great interior design pieces. Okay, moving on. This next one I did consider for a long time, and I tried to find it secondhand. I have since changed my mind, which happens. It is the Nguchi coffee table, which is one of his most well-known designs, I think. It was designed by Isamu Noguchi in 1944, and it is a work that is artistically attached to abstract expressionism, and his design language had a huge influence on design in the 1950s. Noguchi himself also spoke about the table as probably the best table he had ever designed. And I'm not arguing with that. At the same time, I don't think I would buy it. It's also just become a little bit too popular. There's something about iconic pieces that when they are that iconic, I feel like you have to make a selection. Imagine you have all of the things that I've mentioned so far in a home. It would just kind of be like, you know, when you're on holiday and you see certain people just wearing all brands, they just slap on a bunch of labels. And I feel like that can happen with interior design as well, that their spaces are just filled with iconic pieces, and to me that seems a little bit overwhelming. So I think you would kind of have to choose which iconic piece you want to go with. And I don't think this coffee table would make the cut for me. I definitely want to buy lamps by him though. I think there's a lot of fantastic Noguchi lamps. Anyway, yeah, it wouldn't make the cut. This one is, I don't know how well known this design is. I feel like it is somewhat well known, but it's not one of those pieces that I see in social media. It's the Extrem by Terje Extrem, designed in 1984. So this was a Norwegian designer, and Extrem is a Norwegian word for extreme, which is kind of like what this design is. It's kind of extreme. It's not merely a chair, but a standalone object. The chair's playful and unapologetic appearance delights design enthusiasts and children alike. Designed with ergonomic intention, Extrem is a functional sculpture with a soft and inviting surface. With varying depths, openings, and rounded edges, it allows you to shift positions freely, stretch out, and stay supported. So while I was looking at pictures of this, and I was seeing how it was styled, I did kind of catch myself being a little bit like, maybe I would want it. Maybe it would look cool in like my space. I think it's definitely one of those eye-catching designs that could add a touch of color. It could be a focal point in an otherwise plain space. But at the same time, for me, I'm on the fence. If I saw it for sale at a reasonable price, secondhand, I would consider buying it. At the moment, it's a no. What do you think? I have two last ones. The first is the Armchair designed by Warren Platner, and was designed in 1966. I'm gonna read a little text for you. Cleverly basing his work on a period Louis 1500 style chair, Platner rethought those cumbersome old whales using modern materials. And the result is a visually light and incredibly graceful silhouette. So Platner's most famous interior design, the New York City restaurant on the 107th floor of the Old World Trade Center, was full of these babies. I don't like them that much. I haven't seen them in real life, so I could be wrong. And when I do see them in the pictures from the World Trade Center, they do look kind of nice, but I think there's a very specific space that would suit them. And I don't think that would be any of the spaces that I personally would design for myself. So I wouldn't buy them, even if I was loaded. Last one. This last one is actually one that I can truly say that I would never buy. I wouldn't even consider it. It's my most disliked item of all time. At least that I can think of right now. It's the Louis Ghost Chair by Philippe Starck for Cartel, designed in 2002. Just like the Warren Plattner chair, this chair is also designed in the Baroque Louis 1500 style. It's one of Cartel's most well-known and popular products, but I just do not agree. I don't agree with this design at all. So I guess the point was to design a Baroque-esque chair, but reimagine it with more modern material. There's a whole series called Ghost, and other parts of that series that I highly dislike is the table lamp Bourgie by Ferruccio Laviani. And also maybe the ghost is that they're see-through, but I just disagree with these chairs. They don't look comfortable. I do not like that they're see-through. I get that as a concept, it's cool, but I don't like it. That's all. I just don't like it. And that's okay, because everyone has their own personal preference and opinion, and that is mine. So you can agree or disagree. It's not gonna change my mind. Don't get me wrong. I love a lot of the products produced by Cartel, but this particular line is just on my big fat no-no list. So those are my 10 iconic design pieces that I personally wouldn't buy. Personal preference, personal style, it's all a bit of a blob. But I guess the common denominator is that most of these pieces are just not my style. I think that all of the designers are great, but I also think that they have other pieces that I would prefer instead. And secondly, I do think that there is an element of being too watered down due to their iconicness. With that, these are my thoughts. Have at it in the comments. Do let me know. What's your stance? Do you agree? Do you disagree? If you disagree, let me know why, but be nice. As always, thank you so much for hanging out, and I'll catch you next time.